Stop offering up
The Wiz.
the Wiz's services to other people.
But if he's a wizard, he can help everybody.
But Miss One only told you you can go. She didn't say bring your friends. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Movie Night with the Youngs. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Nicole.
And we are here doing one of our favorite movies, probably of all time, The Wiz, from 1987, directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Nipsey Russell, and Ted Ross. I got freaked out because there was double Rosses there. Yeah, I panicked for a second. But if you guys are new to our podcast, welcome. Thanks you for being here with us. We are two sisters who are going back over the movies of our childhood and figuring out how they affect us now as adults and discussing whether we think that they are just nostalgic or if they hold up. Like I said, we are doing The Wiz today. For those of you who have never seen The Wiz, shame on you. It's a masterpiece. For those of you who have seen it, you know that it is a loosely based adaptation of Frank L. Baum's book, The Wizard of Oz, that then got turned into a musical, Broadway musical, with an all-Black cast and a lot of Black culture and taking place in New York. This is the movie adaptation of it. Like I said, came out in 1978. It has an amazing cast. And this month, we are doing movies with a good soundtrack. So that's what we are here really to talk about, is the music of this movie. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
I want to start off by asking, and we texted about this last night when we were both watching the movie. Nicole, be honest. How many times did you fast forward parts of this movie?
Probably 3 or 4 times.
Specifically the beginning?
And yes, and I fast forward through the same parts I did when I was little watching this movie, like the exact same parts.
Yes. So totally fine. There are movies out there that you watch so many times that you're just like, hey, I don't like this part. I'm just going to fast forward. I know what happens. But I realized last night, I only ever watched this movie with you growing up. So I personally had seen the first 15 of this movie minutes of this movie for the first time last night in 20 years.
Really?
Yes, because I was sitting there, I was like, why don't I remember any of these songs? Any of this? I was like, oh, because my older sister made us fast forward because she just wants to get to Oz.
Yeah, it was boring to me in the beginning when I was little. But it's funny to see that I fast forward the exact same parts.
Yeah, well, it
This
makes
time
sense.
around. I was like, oh, I remember what happens. But I've seen it, so you've seen it then.
No. But I'm saying I don't think I've seen it in like 20 years. So like basically the beginning of the movie is Dorothy, who's played by Diana Ross. I think it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. Her family comes over to her Aunt M's house, and it's just an influx of new people coming through, what they're doing, playing checkers, drinking, eating. And there's like several songs about family, and you kind of just see Dorothy going through. She really is a people pleaser. Like, she never sits down to talk or engage with any of her family members. She's just getting the baby's bottle. She's getting food. Even when they all sit down at the dinner table, she sits down for 2 seconds and then gets up to go get the cake. It's like, oh, I forgot. Like, she never really engages. And that made me very sad. And it was something I didn't really remember because we fast forwarded it.
Well, and also too, I kind of felt like they expected her to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I got from it. Like, they didn't even let her sit down. It was just kind of, this is her job and she's going to serve us or take care of us, get our coats or whatever we need.
She's kind of the maid of her family, but Diana Ross does sing a song where she basically just says, like, what am I doing here? I don't know anything outside of here. And you can tell that Dorothy is stuck in a rut. And her aunt basically tells her, like, you've never been below 151st Street and you're 24 years old. Like, you need to get out there. You need to do something else. More specifically, she needs to meet a nice man, which they try to set her up with someone who comes over, and then also tells Dorothy, like, she needs to change her job. She's an elementary school teacher in Harlem. She needs to now go to the high school and like be with older kids that she can follow for 4 years. But she ends up having her dog Toto. When she's taking out the trash, he runs out the door and she runs after him. Diana Ross, I love your singing voice. I don't like your screaming voice because it got annoying throughout the movie.
Yeah, it's very high pitched.
It's very Toto.
Yeah,
Toto. It was like I had to turn down a couple parts of this for sure because her scream was just so irritating. But she goes outside, New York, winter blizzard, and different than Wizard of Oz, the movie that we're used to, she gets caught up in a snow tornado
Yeah.
that we find out is actually being controlled by Glinda the Good,
Mhm.
who is played by the amazing Lena Horne. Um, it takes Dorothy and Toto basically to the land of Oz. And when she first arrives, she arrives in a playground. All these creatures are coming off the wall, the graffiti. And you find out that crashing through this Oz sign, Dorothy has killed Everleen. No, Evermean.
No. Yeah.
Evermean, one of the Wicked Witches. And these graffiti kids, the Munchkins, are so grateful because she put them under a spell to always be turned into graffiti. I
Mhm.
thought it was really interesting that she ends up in the playground because it was like she was just talking about how she needs to get out of the elementary school teaching.
Oh,
And
yeah.
here she
Uh-huh.
lands like right in the middle of like typical elementary school, which is the
Mhm.
playground.
Mhm.
But here we meet another witch, Miss Wan, who comes down.
Isn't
She
it
is
Miss
an
One?
is it Miss
She's
One?
number because
Miss
she's
One.
numbers.
Oh, maybe it's just
Yeah,
their
remember?
accents. Yeah, that makes more sense. She's got like numbers in her hair. She is a
Yeah.
typical New York bag lady, which I never
Mhm.
noticed until she's got all her bags and her goodies,
Yeah.
like 10 bags on her arms. And she explains to Dorothy, "You're in Oz
Mhm.
and you've just killed, one of the evil witches." Dorothy asks her, "How do I get home?" And she says, "You got to go meet the Wiz." And she says, "Who's the Wiz?" And this is my favorite song.
Really?
Yes.
This is your
Well,
favorite song?
we should probably say this is a musical. Like this is a
Oh,
full
yeah.
blown, it's not just a movie with a good soundtrack. It is a full musical, dancing,
Mhm.
singing, so much so that like most of the dialogue and the plot development is through song.
Yeah.
It's
Probably,
like,
like, every 15 minutes, I would say, is a song.
oh, I would say even less than that. Like there's
Mm.
some points when they go to song break and then, "Hey, come with us," song. I love it. I love all the dancing and, the music is amazing.
Mhm.
All the music is composed and arranged by Quincy Jones,
Oh, I didn't
who,
know that.
you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
You know who Quincy Jones is though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very prolific producer. He did all of Michael Jackson's Thriller album.
Mhm.
He composed and arranged all this stuff, and he actually makes a cameo, but I'll talk about that later when he makes the cameo.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I met him once. Name
Mm.
drop story time. I met him at a Netflix party with a bunch of the Glow Girls, and they were like, "Oh my god, we're huge fans!" And I came up and I was like, "The Wiz changed my life." Like I was like, "Thank you so." Like I told him all the time, and his daughter Rashida Jones was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." And I was like, "Yeah, like me and my sister seriously know the soundtrack back and forward."
Yeah.
Which actually is not true now watching this movie because there was a lot of songs in here I was like, "Don't recognize this song."
I mean, all the songs that I skipped.
Yeah, which we'll get into, but in the first song we meet with Miss One called He's the Wiz, she's
Mhm.
basically explaining the Wiz and his almighty power. He will get Dorothy home. She needs to go to the Emerald City. She's got to follow the Yellow Brick Road. What I thought was really funny is like at the end of this song, when they're done with the dancing and everything, like it's like a good like these songs are
But they're long.
they're
Yeah.
long. They're like 5 to
Mhm.
6 minutes long.
Yeah.
But Miss One basically ends the song and they're like, pause for effect after we finish dancing. There's
Yeah.
like one kid in the background just swinging on the swing back there.
Oh, I
Did you
didn't
notice
even
that?
notice.
It reminded me of you when you used to say when you went to Girl Scouts that you were just like there for the snacks and to play on the playground.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's what made me think of it. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
that's Nicole back there. Like everyone else has been dancing and Nicole's just playing. But I thought it was very funny. But yes, Miss One tells Dorothy to find the Yellow Brick Road. So Dorothy starts walking through Oz, which we
Mhm.
find out is actually like a fantastical New York.
Yeah. Which so I didn't realize that the first or when I was little. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
Mm-mm.
But this time around I was like, "Oh, they're in New York."
Yeah.
Like I recognize some of these monuments and places, but I never knew that before.
Yeah, I never noticed that before either. Maybe because we probably didn't really know what New York looked like
Yeah.
or that we were looking at New York. But I also
Yeah.
think it's interesting because in the don't quote me, I want to say it's 1939 Wizard of Oz with like Judy Garland. When she goes to Oz, it's completely unrecognizable. But what she
Mhm.
recognizes is the group she's with, the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and them, those are people from her real life.
Yeah.
This version is interesting because Dorothy doesn't recognize any people from her real life. What she recognizes is her city, which is her home, which I thought that was very interesting to be like, oh yeah, this is the city she's from. You know, she belongs in New York, but she's got to explore New York. Like here she is going
Yeah.
past 151st Street. But we have her going through New York, and you know, she goes through some neighborhoods, and I think this is probably a fast forward moment for Nicole. There's a ballad that comes up.
Yeah, it is.
Like, let's be real. We fast forwarded through the ballads. We want the upbeat tempo. Those are the songs we're looking for. I don't even know what the song is called. I watched it, but I didn't pay attention to it.
I don't remember either, actually.
It's fine. But in this moment, we meet the Cellar Man. I don't know what his real name is, but he is a gentleman.
Scary.
He's a gentleman that walks around selling trinkets. And he has this, what I love is this musical cue. It's a musical cue that comes in. It's like,
it's creepy.
And every time we see him, that cue comes up. I saw a meme. I think I told you about it.
Yeah,
This
you
girl,
told me.
Yeah. For everybody else, there was this meme that this girl posted where basically it was like sounds that Black kids from the 80s get scared of. And it was literally her like looking through the windows and and I was like, yes.
It is creepy.
It is very creepy, especially when we find out what happens later. But Dorothy,
it's funny though because funny though because when I heard it this time around, I got that creepy feeling automatically.
Yeah,
like I remembered it.
But because we've seen it so many times and we know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't remember the first time seeing it being like, this is creepy.
No, I do.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's always been creepy.
I don't know. That may be just a sense memory thing. I feel like we know what's coming up.
Because it brought up those creepy feelings again when I heard it.
Yeah. Same. I don't know if we can.
I don't know. I can't go back in time and.
Yeah.
But
little Nicole, are you scared now?
Yeah. But I feel like I was then too. I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, after we meet the Cellar Man, Dorothy ends up in a junkyard, basically, where she sees a scarecrow being bullied by some crows. And this is what I really appreciate, how hard the costume designer goes on every single outfit in this movie.
I was thinking the same. Their costumes are phenomenal.
The crows are amazing. Like they got human bodies, but then they got crow feet, crow hands, crow beaks. But like they're wearing sunglasses, fedoras. Like they look pretty sharp for being jerks.
Yeah, they've got like their little what are those? Like the dress vests.
Yeah, they got
you wear under the suits.
Yeah, they look pretty sharp. Everybody in this movie looks very sharp.
Yeah.
Adding.
You know what was funny? So when Jason came in at me watching this part, and he's like, one of the scarecrows is Eddie Murphy. I was like, no, he's not.
No, he's not.
I was like, I would totally know this. Like, I know this movie. So I had to like Google it. I was like, no, he's not one of the scarecrows, but
he's not, right?
No, he's not. Well, I didn't find anything that says he is.
I feel like that's not true.
I don't think so either. I feel like I would know that.
Yeah, that seems like something we would know, and that he would brag about because this is a huge movie.
Yeah.
But Dorothy starts listening to the crows talk to the scarecrow, and the scarecrow, who is played by Michael Jackson, is basically saying like, hey guys, can you let me down? Like I just want to try an experiment. Like, can I get down from here? And they're basically just like, no, dummy, you got to stay up there. Like, what have we told you? You can't come down here. You must obey the crows. What are the crow commandments? Which I was like, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah. They're very mean to him.
They're very mean. And he basically tells them, okay, these are what the crow commandments, like thou shalt obey all crows, thou shalt not read any literature, which he's stuffed with like ripped pieces of books and magazines and articles. So he pulls from them little quotes and reads them
throughout the movie.
Yeah. And basically they say, and what is the crow anthem? And he sings the crow anthem, and Michael Jackson sings a song called You Can't Win.
One of my favorite songs.
Also one of my favorite songs. Not my favorite, but one of my favorite. Honestly, too, maybe the best I've ever heard Michael Jackson vocally ever. I love.
I feel like he sounds like his normal Michael self. I mean, he
like
does very well, though. I even was telling Jason this. I was like, Michael can sing, and it shows
Oh
in
yeah.
this movie for sure.
Yeah, but he has this like when he gets older, he kind of has this like nasally at
Oh,
night. It's
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
pain at night, you
That's pretty
know?
good.
Thank you. But then this one he goes like, "Oh, the
Well,
game."
yeah,
Like
he's very yeah.
his range, guys, I'm going to be singing a lot in this one. I know all the songs. Um his range is huge in this song.
Mhm.
But he sings this amazing song and which I actually wanted to ask you, did you sing the songs when they came up?
Yep. And I actually knew the words.
Weird, guys, my headphones are telling me low battery. How is that
Uh,
possible? I don't know. Guess we'll have to find out and see how it goes. Um,
but yes, I did, sing all the songs, and it's funny because they actually came back to me
oh
pretty like,
yeah,
I knew the words, but, I mean, that could be because I actually have these songs on my normal playlists.
same,
Like, now
same.
I'd be driving to work, and the Wiz songs are gonna pop up in my random playlist, so
Oh, me too. I
mhm.
mean, every single. Now I'm nervous that I'm gonna have to. Okay, anyways, real life. Told you guys. Yeah, no, I have a bunch of songs, and when I was sitting here singing, I was like, wow, if I was watching with anybody else, they probably get annoyed that I was just singing here, sitting here singing all these songs.
Yeah. Well, and well, that and I feel like anyone else I know doesn't even know this movie exists, so
No, no, this was definitely
which is sad.
I think this is definitely our dad trying to give us a piece of his culture
Culture, yeah. Mhm,
in film for
mhm,
sure. Because like again, like I watched it and I was like, this is an all black cast,
mhm.
all black cast.
But this is also probably, I'd say, one of the most watched movies we saw in our childhood,
Oh,
if not the
100%.
most watched.
No, it is. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, it was something at the time. I don't think I was like, as a kid, look at all these black people on my screen. It didn't,
Oh, yeah, it
I don't
didn't
think I
yeah.
registered it. But then last night when I was watching it, I was like, wow, like this was
It is an
rare.
all-black cast, mhm.
This is rare to have a movie with every single person is black, or even to even dumb it, not dumb it down, to even make it more simple. Every single is a person of color,
Mhm, mhm.
especially back then in the 70s and the 80s,
Yeah.
like we're still fighting now. Black Panther, people were trying to prove, you know, Shang Li, we're trying to prove that all people of color casts can be big hits,
Mhm,
can carry
mhm.
films
Yeah.
in 2022. And it's ridiculous.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, that was something that hit me last night where I was like, wow, I don't think I appreciated that when I was younger, that we were
Yeah.
watching an all black movie.
I don't think I did either.
I definitely didn't. Sorry, but I do appreciate it
I
now.
yeah, I don't even think I really noticed either.
Growing up?
Yeah, it was
No.
just it was I think I was more so focused on I love Michael Jackson, so I think I was more so focused on him and his singing.
Sure, sure, sure. Um, well, he gets done singing his amazing song, and finally Dorothy says, "I'll let you down." And she helps him get off of this stoop and shoos all
Mhm,
the crows away. And what I thought was really interesting is everybody knows, these characters in The Wizard of Oz, they're trying to find something. Dorothy's trying to get home. We find out that the scarecrow needs a brain.
mhm,
But what I found out in this movie versus The Wizard of Oz from 1939, again, not sure if that's the year, but what I found that was interesting is so much so I noticed these characters in The Wiz already have what they're searching for.
yeah,
Like maybe not Dorothy trying to get home, even though she is technically home in New York City, but the
mhm.
scarecrow gets down and he was like, "Oh, like the experiment has gone well. The subject has, the things he is saying,
Yeah, he's very smart.
he's very smart." And
Mhm,
it's just like Dorothy said, he's a product of people, or he's a product of negative, what do I have it? Product of negative thinking, and if he believes in himself, he realized he is smart, and I was
mhm.
quite interested in that. But they then start to find the yellow brick road piece by piece. They see that it's going across the Brooklyn Bridge, and what I thought was really interesting, they sing another song, "Ease on Down the Road."
The best song.
They do their little ease on down, ease on down. I'm doing it. They do like a
Yeah.
little foot hop, like they do in the original Wizard of Oz.
Mhm.
But what I thought was really interesting in this moment, so again, I'm singing the song, ease on down, ease on down the road. And I stutter there because I got it on my iPod off of your CD, and your CD has a scratch.
That just shows you how many times I've listened to it.
So it skips. And when I sing it now, I go, ease on down. Like I know where the skip
That's
is.
funny. Mhm.
And I was sitting there laughing because I was like, oh, there's no skip here. Like it's
You got it
not
off
gonna
my
skip.
CD?
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I burned a bunch of your CDs like before I went to college, or I
Mm.
think like the Christmas I came back from college or something.
Oh,
But it definitely has a scratch specifically in
yeah.
this part, like
Mhm.
at the beginning.
Which I do still
Uh,
have the CD.
oh yeah.
Mhm.
But Dorothy and the Scarecrow and Toto, who just randomly comes in and out, they go across the Brooklyn Bridge and they end up. I don't know. Sorry, I'm bad with New York geography, but they basically essentially get to like a Coney Island amusement park.
Yeah.
And they hear somebody asking for help, and they find the Tin Man, who's played by
Mhm.
Nipsey Russell, underneath a giant woman statue.
Yeah.
He's all crumpled. And basically, he tells them, like, we were abandoned here when the amusement park went down. I've been sitting underneath my fat wife, Teeny,
Yeah.
ever since then. And can you please help me? So they, unbend him. I don't know. They open him up. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But basically, he starts talking about how if he had a heart, he would realize that. Can you hear that?
Hear what?
My headphones talking to me?
Nope.
Okay, cool. We'll just go for it. He basically tells them that, yeah, like if I had a heart, I would have been upset that I was under Teeny, and starts
Mhm.
crying, which again, if you didn't have a heart, you wouldn't
Cor
cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have emotions to cry, and you have
Mhm.
to have a heart and a brain to have emotions.
Yeah.
But basically, he sings this song called What Would I Do if he had emotions, basically. And I
Mhm.
don't know about you, Nicole, but this time listening to it, I got a little uncomfortable. Is this song a sensual song or is it a sad song?
It's another song that I wasn't really a fan of when I was little either.
It felt real sensual. And like even looking at Diana Ross, she's like, oh, like you can, for those of you listening, you can't see, but she's like, yeah. Like it just felt like almost like a sexy song. And I was like, this is a
Mhm.
very strange feeling around this song. I don't
Yeah.
know how I like it.
That's right. There's a couple other songs later on that I thought the same.
There are a couple. But then basically they offer again, like, hey, we're going to the Wiz, which I think is funny. Stop offering up
The Wiz.
the Wiz's services to other people.
But if he's a wizard, he can help everybody.
But Miss One only told you you can go. She didn't say bring your friends.
Yeah. Well, she needs some company.
I mean, I guess, but okay, but company, she's offering his like, please come with me versus the Wiz can get you a heart.
Yeah. Mm.
The Wiz can get you a brain. Like she's
Mhm.
just kind of pimping out the Wiz here. But they sing another lovely song called Slide Some Oil to Me
It's a good song.
to get the Tin Man all lubed up.
Mhm.
Sensual lube. Uh, just leading into that, lubed up so that he can go on this journey with them. And they again, a reprise of Ease on Down the Road, now with Nipsey Russell in it, singing Ease on Down the Road
Mhm.
with them. They start going through New York again. They're going through all these different landmarks, all that stuff. And they come
Mhm.
across the New York Public Library that has the lions out front.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the Tin Man says, like, someone's following us. And you look at one of the lion statues, and inside is like moving eyes.
Yeah. But he's stone.
But he's stone. But then he
Mhm.
gets poked by the Tin Man's cane, and out comes the Cowardly Lion,
Mhm.
which is played by Ted Ross, who actually,
There's no relation?
I don't think there's any relation, but
Hmm.
he actually played this role on Broadway as well. I think
Oh.
he's the only one who played this role or their
Hmm.
role on Broadway. But he's amazing. And
He
he
does really well.
sings,
Yeah.
yeah, he sings one of my favorite songs, Mean Old Lion.
Mhm. It's a good
Cause
song
I'm
too.
a mean old lion. Like he just sings really and has this whole performance, which
Yeah.
again kind of leads into you're looking for courage, but here you did this full-on performance in front of
In
people
front of
you don't even
people. Yeah.
know. Like I think he got courage, but I thought it was
Yeah.
really interesting because they sit down and he says like, "Oh, I have a secret." Like Dorothy and them are giving him the cold shoulder, and then he says like, "Oh, I have a secret," and they're like, like I was like,
Yeah.
"That's really funny that y'all are trying to be gossipy."
Mhm.
And like trying to get his information. But basically he says like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like I got kicked out of the jungle because I was not fit to be king."
Yeah.
So
What
they
does he
say,
say? What is it?
uh
Incapable of being king?
yeah,
I see.
IBOK.
I
What? Incapable of being king.
king, yeah.
IOBK.
Yeah.
Yeah. IOBK. Yeah, and he's all sassy. Like
Yeah.
I really love
I
this
like his
portrayal.
character.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love the portrayal that Ted Ross does. Which is interesting. Did you notice that he's wearing high heels?
Yeah, I did notice this time actually.
Yeah, I was like, "What? Why is he like?"
It
Because he's like got this furry
it
suit.
has a heel on the it's
Yeah,
like
it
a
has a
boot, it
heel.
looks like.
I
Yeah,
wonder if that was to help him dance or something.
I don't know. I did notice this time around.
Interesting. We'll have to experiment. We'll have to explore that and see if we can figure out what that was for.
Mhm,
Um, but basically, again, they say like, you want some courage? Come with us. We're going to the Wiz. He'll give you courage.
mhm.
And I thought it was very interesting because in front of the New York Public Library, there's like no cars, nothing. But they got these street lamps that say like instead of like walk or stop, it
Says ease
says
on,
yeah, it says
doesn't
don't
it?
ease. It
Yeah,
says don't ease. And then when
yeah,
they can, it says ease on,
yeah. Well,
which I
there's
thought was very
the
funny.
and they have all the taxis in a lot of the
Yeah.
scenes.
The taxis that refuse to take them anywhere, which I'm just like,
Mhm.
I couldn't quite get what that meant, but I'm like, sure, that tracks in New York. Can't get a
Yeah,
cab. Or are you playing? No, I don't even want to go there. Are you
yeah.
playing into stereotypes that it's hard for Black people to get cabs?
Mm,
Why even put that
I
in your
don't think
movie
so.
celebrating
Yeah,
Black culture? Nah,
I don't
I
think
don't
so,
like
no.
it. So basically, they invite the lion. It's now our group. We got our iconic group here,
Mhm.
and they go through the city again, and they end up in the subway trying to get the train. And here's where our cellar man shows up again, and he's got these little dolls
Mhm.
that are bouncing and start off very small and then start to grow
They're like
to like,
Slinkies.
yeah, like slinky men, and they
Mhm.
grow to like huge human size,
Yeah.
and they chase after them.
Mhm.
And like, I never understood as a kid why they were doing that, but we find out later, and I won't say it now. We find out later why this man is doing this to them.
Mhm.
But basically, these little slinky men go through the subway,
Creepy.
yeah, and chase our group. And the lion, again, already showing the courage that he has, he comes and saves everyone.
Every
Like
single one. Mhm.
yeah, they get locked behind a door. He opens the door. Dorothy gets like the subway tile columns start coming out like
Yeah,
as
surrounding her.
yeah, like
Mhm.
creatures and surround her. He pulls her out. The Tin Man gets like electric shock in his
Yeah.
ears and he
Mhm.
pulls them out of that. He also just leads them out of the subway.
Yeah. Which it's funny because the subway scene this time around reminds me of, like, Michael Jackson's Bad video for some reason.
I
I
mean,
don't
I
know
hate
why.
Nicole is because it just takes place in a subway.
No, but it had, like, the same vibe to me for some reason. Like, the
Mm,
set looked the same.
it probably was the same. I mean, there's only so many subways you can completely clear out to
Yeah.
shoot a movie in.
Mhm.
Um,
But
but
that's
yeah,
definitely a scene that
it's scary.
scared me even now. I thought it was creepy.
I was trying to figure out what is this scene equivalent to. I mean, I mean, it's supposed to be based on, but what is the scene equivalent in the original Wizard of Oz?
Mhm.
And I couldn't. I think is it when they go through the forest and it's kind of like a little scary. I don't know.
Oh, could be. I don't know.
I don't know, but it was terrifying as a child and now. And
Mhm.
leads into what you were saying, like just even when they went into the subway, I already started getting like anxious and was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
he's coming!"
Yeah.
Like run.
Yeah.
Um, but they come out of the subway and they're all excited. The lion has saved them and they're walking down the street. It's now nighttime, which, okay, there's no time clock in
Oh, yeah, day and
Oz.
night switches back and forth
Yeah,
the
switches back
entire
and forth real
movie.
quick. But they're walking down and they see these ladies dancing, which we find out are the poppies.
Yeah, the poppy field scene, yeah.
Miss One has warned them or warned Dorothy, stay away from the poppies, but she doesn't really
Mhm.
quite hear it. This is what gets me. They're following the yellow brick path. The yellow brick path does not lead into the yard that the poppies are in.
Yeah,
Literally, the lion doesn't even see them and then turns and is like, "Come on, Dorothy. Like,
yeah,
you didn't have to go there.
yeah.
Like,
It's
just
just
follow
off
the
to
yellow
the
brick
side,
road."
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
follow the yellow brick
Mhm,
road.
mhm.
But I get it that these are, they're dressed provocatively. They're dancing to her like
Very
dun dun
sensual
dun
scene,
dun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Dun
you
dun dun dun.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Also, like, did you notice this time around, I noticed what the actual neon sign said.
Oh yeah, like naughty,
Yeah, one said, like,
nice.
"firm thighs."
Yeah, I think it's
I was
supposed to
um,
again signal the temptation, like
yeah.
temptation basically. And
Mhm,
how do they show temptation? Well, temptation of flesh. Like these women
mhm.
are literally in lingerie. They're
Yeah,
dancing to a very sensual song
yeah.
again. But I
But
don't think that's their intention. I think it's just come to us,
yeah,
you
and then
know.
Scarecrow and Tin Man, though, are trying to say this is a trap.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
setup.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't go in there.
No,
They
but
don't
of
listen.
course, Lion and Dorothy get pixie
Special
dust,
dust.
yeah, thrown on them and they fall asleep.
Mhm.
And they end up on the rooftop of the Poppy's place, which I'm assuming, I think we're supposed to guess that they went through their little fun house.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting because when they come out of this like little tunnel, Scarecrow grabs Dorothy and Toto, or grabs Dorothy, and then the Tin Man's trying to get the line. He's like, I can't move him. I can't.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
And I was like, we get it. He's a big dude. He's a bigger man. Please calm down, Tin
He's a
Man. Like,
lion.
I know, but like he just made such a show of it. I'm like,
Uh,
just calm yourself. So
oh,
he
I didn't even
instead grabs,
notice.
yeah, instead he grabs Toto. He's like, okay, I'll just leave Lion. But Lion ends up coming down, and again, the Tin Man gets
Mhm.
sad and he cries on them, and they wake up. And this part I also thought was very dark. The lion thinks that
Tries to go
kill
ahead.
him. Yeah, no, the
Yeah.
lion thinks it's his fault, and he tries to jump
Mhm.
off the roof and kill
Yeah,
himself.
which I didn't notice as a kid either.
Well, but I also think that this was a fast forward part for us because it goes into
Was
another
it?
ballad. It does. Dorothy starts, You're
Oh,
a
that is true.
lion,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever it is.
I fast forward again.
Yeah. Like, it's, I think we might have
Yeah.
fast forwarded, but I was quite surprised that there was like basically a
Very
suicide attempt
dramatic.
here.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
he literally runs like he's gonna jump off the rooftop.
Yeah. And I'm not really excited about the message. Obviously, don't condone suicide. And if you have those thoughts, please get help and find the help that you need. But it does bother me that to give a character that already doesn't have courage, that attempt was just something I wasn't really a fan of. Like I
Mhm.
don't like the message that it sends. 1978, different time.
Yeah.
But there up at the rooftop, they see the Emerald City, which is just the New York skyline with a giant
Mhm.
apple as the sun. Because
Yeah,
now it's
when I
daytime.
saw the apple, I was like, "Oh,
it's
that's
it's
why
the
that's
big
there."
it's the Big Apple. So they ease on down again to the Emerald City doors, and I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but the guy doesn't let them in until he sees that Dorothy has the silver slippers
Slipper.
on
Yeah.
that were from Evermean, the witch that she killed at the beginning, that Miss One gave to her and said, "Do not
Mhm.
take these off."
Yeah.
Which is interesting because in the original book by Frank L. Baum, the shoes are silver.
Oh, I didn't
They're
know that.
they're not ruby. Yeah, they're ruby
They're
in
not
the
red
Wizard
like
of Oz.
in the
Yeah, that was for the Wizard of Oz. Like, was one of the first movies in Technicolor, and they really wanted colors that pop,
Mhm.
so they changed it to ruby red. Which I had a
Hmm.
pair.
Yeah, sure
Remember
did.
those? Yep,
Yeah,
they were cute. They changed them
sparkles
to
everywhere.
Yeah, they changed them to ruby red so that the color would pop.
Hmm.
And then here they changed it back. Of course, to go more to the book, but also it just fits better with Diana Ross's complexion.
Yeah.
The silver really looks good on her. But
Mhm.
the guys let them inside, and I found this very sad. I don't know if you found it. They end up in the Emerald City, and it's a
Mhm.
huge party.
Yeah.
Dancing, color, lights, extravagance. Where they actually shot this was in the plaza of the World Trade Center.
Oh, interesting.
Those two buildings that they look up to
Mhm.
when is the World Trade Center buildings.
Oh, I
And
didn't
I
notice
got a
that.
little sad. Yeah, I was like,
Huh.
that makes me sad. But here we have this huge party going down, and we
Mhm.
lead into another 7-minute song.
Yeah, this one's kind of this one's I felt like a bit much.
It's called the Emerald City sequence, but it goes from like a
Mhm.
lot of different genres of music.
Mhm.
I just love the woman when she was like, I wouldn't be caught dead. Red.
Red. Yeah.
Basically, the Wiz comes over and says, like, I want you guys to have this color. I want you to have this
Mhm.
color. But he changes it like 5 times throughout the 7 minutes that our group is there.
Well, and I'm curious, does he always change these?
Well,
Is this like a daily occurrence?
he says at one point that last week they were pink. Remember, he's like, remember
Oh,
when y'all were
no.
pink? I already knew red was dead.
Mm,
The ultimate color is gold or
mm.
whatever.
Yeah.
But each color is like a new genre of dance. There's a bunch of dancers. This is where
Mhm.
we see the cameo by Quincy Jones. He is the man in the gold sequence playing the piano.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah, but we go through and basically at one point, basically again, sorry. At one point, the Wiz says, "Send me up the one wearing the silver slippers,"
Mhm.
and that's when Dorothy and her group get on camera because it's a huge party. Like
Yeah.
the Emerald City is opulence. It is the
Mhm.
VIP status. It is only certain people can get in here. You're not allowed.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very interesting, like trying to keep it that VIP party.
Mhm.
But
I
they
love
go
their
up and
costumes.
oh yeah, it's amazing. I
Mhm.
mean, it's a huge, like, I don't know if you know who Sidney Lumet is, but
Mm-mm.
he's one of the best directors of all time, but he did so much dramas. This is like his first musical, and I read that he was only picked to do this movie. Well, his mother-in-law, Lena Horne, plays Glinda the Good,
Mm.
but he was only picked by the studio because he was known for getting his movies done on time and on budget. Nothing to
That's
do,
important.
yeah, nothing to do with he could do a musical or like a comedy or but on time and on budget, Sidney
Hmm.
Lumet.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's quite cinematic. But
Interesting.
our group goes up and meets the Wiz. They meet this giant silver face that looks kind of familiar
Looks
now.
exactly like him.
Yeah, the Wiz is played by Richard Pryor, and it's just his giant face without a
Yeah.
mustache, though,
Mm.
even though he has a mustache later. But basically, dang it, sorry guys. Pretty much, they. If you guys heard her past episodes, my
She
mom says
says
I say
basically a
basically
lot.
a lot, and I'm trying to get out of it. Anyway, he tells them, "I'll only grant your wishes if you kill Eveline,
Yeah.
the other evil witch."
Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, and basically that's all he says. He,
Mhm.
go kill her and I will grant your wishes.
Yeah.
And he's done. So
Mhm.
Dorothy and them go to a motel.
Yeah, I thought this I didn't notice that the first time around
So
either.
strange. Goes to a motel. Think about it real quick.
Mhm.
And then she's like, "Yep, we'll kill her."
Yep.
And I'm like, "Okay, Dorothy, you have some morals. Like, you're gonna
Yeah.
kill her. All right, fine." Like, you
Yeah.
could have thought of a like they had no other I mean, they didn't think of any other options,
Mhm.
which is what I think is interesting. But
Yeah.
basically, sorry. Okay, they go down and they end up at Eveline's sweatshop, which
Should
I'm assuming is just the fashion district of New York.
yeah.
But in the sweatshop, she has workers working on all kinds of fabric and stuff. And she comes in. Oh, she's a bad mother.
She's actually one of my favorite characters.
She is a bad mama
Mhm.
jamma. She has it's her way or the highway.
Mhm.
But when she walks in, this is where we see the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo cellar man,
Mhm.
the crows, and the poppies are
Yep.
there. They're working for
For her.
Eveline.
Yeah. Mhm.
She got word that Dorothy killed her sister, took the silver slippers, and she was trying to get them to stop them from getting to the
Yeah.
Wiz. So
Mhm.
she sent them all out and they all failed.
Yeah.
So now she says, okay. Oh, well, before that, she sings an amazing song, Don't Bring Me No Bad News.
Which I feel like is interesting because she's very like this aggressive hardcore character, but breaks out into song a lot. And the
Yeah.
songs seem like everyone's happy when
I
they're
think,
singing them.
yeah, I think it's a great I think it's more showing how joyful she is in her badness,
Mhm.
how joyful she is to be this bad
Yeah.
person.
Mhm.
But she sings this amazing song, Don't Bring Me No Bad News, and then she gets no bad news that Dorothy and her friends are on the way. So
Yeah.
she sends in her flying monkeys, which are basically just puppets on Harleys.
Yeah. They're pretty cool though. I like
They
them.
are very cool. And their leader, Cheetah, he comes in and, we'll take care of this for you,
Yeah.
Eveline.
Mhm.
And I think it's funny because she just says, "Oh, they smell so bad." And she takes the like air freshener and it's like,
Yeah.
constantly spray it. It reminded me of Dad because he doesn't go through the house just that spritz. He is
Or he's
spritzing
lighting his
everywhere.
incense.
Yeah, but then
Although
I
I've
thought
gotten
about
him
it.
into candles now.
Oh, good. Mom will appreciate that. But like
Mhm.
it made me laugh because I was like, Dad does that. Oh, I do that. I'm not. I'm like going through spritzing
You
everywhere.
can't breathe. Mhm.
Yeah, but the flying monkeys end up capturing Dorothy and her group and bringing them back to Eveline, and she basically tells Dorothy, "Give me my sister's slippers." And she says, "No, I can't take them off." And she tries to get them off like by magical force, and her fingers,
Bend
Eveline's
all the
fingers
way
start
back.
bending back
Yeah.
quite aggressively. Like
Yeah.
it was too much for me.
Mhm.
But she starts basically torturing Dorothy's friends. And I think it's funny because when you really look at this, like the first close up of Eveline, her hair looks like what Barbie's hairs look like when you cut it. Like it's just like hair
Wow,
plug,
it
hair
just
plug,
goes it's
hair
like a
plug.
yeah.
It's like hair plug, hair plug, hair plug. Again, testament to
Um,
the costume department, the hair and makeup department for really
mhm.
making these characters look fantastical. But while she's torturing Dorothy's friends, like they're cutting open the scarecrow, they're pressing the Tin Man, they're pulling the lion up by his tail. The scarecrow tells Dorothy, "There's like the sprinkler switch. Turn it
Yeah.
on."
Mhm.
And so Dorothy, while she's taking off her shoes to give to Eveline, throws on the switch and the sprinklers come down and Eveline starts to melt.
Mhm.
and now she's dead and everyone's free. And what cracked me up is like, how pissed off would you be as one of those workers who's in there getting whipped and like no lunch breaks
And all
for
you had to
6
do was
months,
pull the
and all you had to do was pull the
Yeah.
sprinkler?
Well, I'm also curious to know how Scarecrow knew that.
I think it's just one of those, do it as a distraction, and then lo and behold, she melted. But also,
Yeah.
if you knew, Eveline says, "I'm allergic to water." Baby girl,
Mhm.
why do you have a sprinkler system then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Must be some code. She didn't want to go against
In
the,
her sweatshop, she needs
yeah,
it.
in her sweatshop, she didn't want to go against the code. But she ends up melting, and they sing a
Brand
reprise
new
of,
day.
yeah, it's Brand New Day / Rejoice,
Mhm.
where Rejoice kicks in when all of these creatures, because you see they're in these costumes,
Yeah.
but then all of a sudden, again, very sensual. This is a
I
thing.
thought that too in this scene.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sensuality is a huge thing in this movie.
Yeah.
Again, though, celebrating Black bodies, we're here for it.
Mhm.
Celebrate yourselves. We're
Mhm.
fine. We're here for it. But they start taking off these costumes, and it's like this, is it a clarinet where it's like,
Oh, yeah.
like it feels very, it almost felt when they come out there in like bras and underwear, basically
Yeah.
all of
Mhm.
them showing, again, celebrating their bodies. It made me feel very African tribal,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
their dance moves are, instead of being ballet, pointed toes, pointed hands, they're all
Yeah.
flexed.
Yeah.
And it felt very African tribal dance, which I
Mhm.
liked. Um, so that was very interesting to me. But here's where they have the new song called Rejoice, which is actually written by Luther Vandross.
Hmm.
It's not a Quincy Jones song, which I thought was quite interesting. Hold on, guys. My headphones died, so I need to now change.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. Um, but yeah, I hope my microphone is still on. We'll see what happens. But so yes, they all rejoice. They sing. Dorothy and her friends go back to the Wiz, and they walk into the Wiz, and they actually just see that he's just a man,
Mhm.
literally laying in his cot on his bed. He is just Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
He's like some guy who blew in his air balloon from Atlantic City and ended up here, and they all thought he was a wizard.
Yeah.
So that's when she gets pissed off, because she was like, you know, you're nothing but a phony, a fake. And he says, I am. And that's when Glinda the Good comes in and says, you've learned everything I wanted you to learn.
Yeah, you had it all along. You just
You had
spent
it
the
all along
last
inside of you.
the last
Yeah.
few days.
Yeah, for naught, if
Yeah.
only to learn a life lesson. But this is
Which
played by Lena Horne, who's amazing. And she's mixed.
I thought that.
Mixed. Another
It's
African girl.
it's funny because I couldn't help but in that scene, the little kids that are just hanging there, like, one of
Yeah.
the kids looked like he was traumatized. Like,
Yeah, they
his
basically
face,
just
like,
have
looks
these
really
babies,
uncomfortable.
yeah, floating amongst the stars, basically. But she tells Dorothy, "You had it in you all along. You all
Mhm.
did." And Dorothy goes through her friends and says, like,
You already
"You're the s
had courage.
yeah, you're the smartest, you're the bravest, you're the kindest."
Mhm.
But then I love when the wizard comes up, the Wiz comes up, and he's like, "Can you do me a favor?" She's like, "You're gonna
I
need to
don't know
go
what you
find
are.
it."
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, "You need to go find yourself. I can't help you. You need to go
Yeah.
find yourself." But Lena Horne's song, I don't know what the name of it is, because again, Nicole,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure you fast forwarded through this when we were
Hey.
kids. So
I
I don't know what it's called, but it's so inspirational. She basically
Mhm.
says, believe in yourself like I believe in you.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is click your heels 3 times and you'll be home.
Mhm.
And Dorothy does. She says goodbye to her friends. She clicks 3 times and she ends up back outside her apartment like nothing ever happened.
Mhm.
Ran in, and that's where the movie ends. And I appreciate it that he ends that where, whereas the original Wizard of Oz like goes through Dorothy telling her family what happened and they don't believe her. But I love ending on knowing that Dorothy got home
Mm.
safe, and that's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all. What a good
Very impressive.
movie.
I know. I
So
mean, minus the slow
yeah,
song.
minus all the parts that you fast forwarded through and I
Yeah.
championed. Uh with that though, Nicole, do you think that The Wiz holds up, or is it just nostalgia?
I think this holds up.
Holds up.
Yep. I think so.
Holds up, don't need any follow-up. Great
Mhm.
movie. Great cast, great songs,
Yeah.
great everything.
Yeah.
Holds up.
Definitely. I need
Yay!
half of
Oh,
the songs oh, sorry. Half of the
what?
songs were on my iPod that I can't recover,
Oh, sorry.
but
Well, you still have the CD. Oh, as we know from the last episode,
they'll
go
scratch.
see if your CD is in your car, your six
Yeah.
changer CD.
Yeah.
Maybe in there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But still
Well,
holds up. Mhm.
still holds up. Agreed. Everybody, if you've not seen The Wiz, you really need to do yourself a favor and
Yes.
watch it. It is a great one.
Yes.
With that, that is the end of our Wiz recap. We appreciate you guys being here. Everybody watching on YouTube, if you would give us a like, give us a comment down below. If you've seen this movie, what you loved about it, what's your favorite song, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Everybody listening on our podcast platforms, thank you so much for downloading the episode and subscribing to our podcast. We appreciate you. Next week, continuing movies with a good soundtrack, we are doing.
What are we doing next week?
Actually, what are we doing next week? Guys, we're shooting a little bit out of order.
Yeah.
So we're TBD next week.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? Here's a great chance. Tell us what you would like us to do next week. Put
Mhm.
in the comments. Tell us what movie with a great soundtrack you would like us to do, and we will see if we end up doing that one.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here with us. Oh, again, follow us on Instagram over at movie night _podcast.
Mhm.
Thanks for being here with us.
Bye.
Bye.